Do you remember the golden days of music on tape cassette? Well, this little beauty right here, the Aiwa HS-P202, has just arrived in the workshop, sent in by Adam, but unfortunately it's not in perfect working order. It has some issues including the volume control and an intermittent headphone jack. So let's see if we can fix these problems as well as giving it a general service as we go. Okay, so let's take our first look at this Aiwa HS-P202 and see if we can identify the problems that Adam mentioned in his email to me. So in that we'll put some batteries in and we'll do a general overview, but hopefully we can get everything working and we'll do the features in full at the end of the video. So let's pop some batteries in, and with this one it's one of those ones with the external battery compartment rather than being part of the unit. So you can see there's a release and a lock here, so you slide this down and then that's your batteries going in there. It takes two AAA batteries, so that then clicks back on. So what have we got? It feels quite nice in the hand. It feels actually like a quality built item. I'm not sure if this is plastic or metal, but it's certainly got more of a premium feel than a lot of this age. Potentially metal there. So on the front we've got DSL, stereo cassette player, HS-P202 Aiwa, some light scratching to the plastic here, maybe we can buff that out later on. Up at the top we've got a direction indicator, so there's green in there, so I'm guessing when it's playing we can use this button to basically flip to the other side. We've got a nice large play button. It does say metal there, so maybe that's talking about the body. We've got the mode, either play the cassette all the way through and onto the other side, or keep flipping A to B. Over here some quite nice, in fact, yeah, so I can see it turning. Very quiet motor, which is nice. And they even got rewind forward labelled in there. It seems like they've really got some effort on this. Nice clicky buttons, loads of options around here as well. So we've got, I'm guessing that's going to be kind of levels of volume. DSL, like, you know, you've audio limiting, or I'll look that up. Off, 1, 2, normal or metal tape. Dolby noise reduction, that's nice on these. We've got our volume wheel, operating, so is that going to go? Yeah, so it goes red when you press play. And then we've got our headphones. The only thing I can really spot here is, see that little indent? Looks like it's taken just a dent at some point. Adam said something about the volume and an intermittent jack, so we'll put a tape in and see what we can find. Heard it for a second in one speaker. Yes, it's only coming out of that side, and it does cut out, so I guess that's what it... I guess it is slightly quiet. Okay, so that's the function test, just a quick one done, and yeah, you can see the main problem is going to be that headphone jack there. Now, this is probably something that you would maybe be able to rectify externally. You just try cleaning out the jack here and you wouldn't even go into it, but because Adam has asked and requested a general going over, what we will do is we'll go inside and we'll check the insides as well. We'll check things like the belt, and it'll allow us to potentially get better access to some other parts of the ports here, but it is a balance, because when fixing things that I've bought for myself, if it goes wrong, you can always just put it in the parts bin, and obviously going inside something, it becomes more risky. So let's try and get inside this and see what we can find. So I think we're just going to have to try and just remove this back plate, and you're going to have the switches just on the inside. Those covers are probably going to drop off once we get inside. There's a couple of screws here at the top, you know, here at the back plate. Possibly going to need to do this one here. These two probably not. So I think it's maybe just 3 screws to get inside. They're really small, so it looks like kind of like a Phillips 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. 000. Yeah, it is. Very small screws. That one's actually slightly larger. So you can see that back plate just lifting off now. Again, it's one of those things where if you just own it, you just kind of pull it more. Because your risk levels are lower. Because if you pull it, it's like it doesn't matter. But when you're working with someone else's items, you kind of start second guessing yourself. See, there we go. That's off now. So what do we see when we're in here? So we've got the ribbon, it's kind of just backed onto itself at the top. We've got one large belt here. Often you expect to see a couple of belts, but here we've got the motor down here. It drives all the way around here, so it's going up over the top of there, underneath there, back around and all the way down. So that's unusual. So what we're going to want to do now is get to, yes, we want to take this out so at least we can have a look at this jack and have a look at the volume slider as well. I mean, look how handy that is. Back in the day when they used to actually help you try and fix things, there's a big screw icon there. How great's that? And again, look, another one there. So it's saying there's a screw here and a screw here. So the ribbon cable's something to be careful of. So I think if I can get it up and kind of just move it over like that. So it's one of those ones where I want to lift it, but the socket, so that headphone jack, see there, is sticking through. So you just need to push that inside. Yeah, look, the way that jack's just coming off the circuit board. Oh yeah, so that's the same. You've got to move that part in to free up there, and then you can kind of slide that way. But you can see, look, there's the faulty headphone jack. It's not actually on the board. Hardly got any room to move in here. Is there more around here? Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. Let me see. Okay, so we can get it out like that. So let's get this out now. So we need to resolder onto these. Thankfully the pads haven't pulled, just the contacts have come away. So fingers crossed we can just get that back on. But now it's off, it gives us a chance to clean that out. So first of all, to clean this out, I'm going to get some IPA in first, but then I'm going to use some contact cleaner. And that's where I was talking about, you could clean it just externally. You know, from where we were, you could just put a cotton bud in, which is I'm about to do, and you could get into there. But what we're able to do now, because we're inside, is just get it a little bit deeper and clean it up a bit more. And potentially these pads were some of the issue, because as it was moving we were losing the sound. So I think these had kind of come away anyway, and that was part of the problem. So this should give us a better fix. Same from this end that we wouldn't have necessarily been able to reach. Now this would be an ideal candidate for hot air, I think. You'd put it on here and you kind of warm it up from the other side and it would melt into place, but I'm not particularly good with a hot air gun. So what I'm going to do is use my soldering iron and just try and just heat it up. So I'm going to put the flux on, place it in, and just try and get the tip of the iron just onto those parts there. That is now resoldered on, which is good. So whilst we're here, we'll just try and get some contact cleaner underneath onto the volume. I think if you were really desperate and like the volume really did go, it would be this middle capacitor here. I don't have one in, and because it's already just, I'm just being super careful because of like I just don't have much room to maneuver. It's one where on this fix I'm just going to leave it for now, and at least if we can get like everything cleaned up. The main thing was the left and right, get the belt done and all that stuff. If it's a little quiet, it's a little quiet, but that's better than not working at all. So at this point I'm just kind of cleaning up as I'm going along. So let's carefully try and put this back together now. So they're all kind of just bundled down here in this bottom part underneath the motor. And then over there, power bit just kind of popped in. Okay, so I've just got everything tidied away, and at this point we're going to carry on with our general maintenance and service of this device, and that's going to be removing this belt now and just cleaning up around everywhere, getting rid of any of the dirt and the grime. Just to remember, it goes over, under and around. Just, yeah, definitely needs changing out. So that's out. Let's just clean up around all the bits. Just general dirt and grime, nothing too crazy, but there's certainly a little bit in there. Okay, so here's the original belt off, and if we measure it, just give or take, so popping it on here, just until it gets tight, you can see it's around 130 millimeters. I've got another one here, it's a little thicker, so hopefully it will go on. And this one here is 120, so about 10 mil or 1 centimeter shorter, which over all of there should be about right. So we'll see if the slight extra thickness will go over the motor wheel in there. So here it is with the battery pack on, hit play, we can see everything's moving. These are kind of self-straightening belts, so as I look at each side, it all looks fine to me. So this is now where we put the bits onto the side before the rest goes on. Sometimes that will just be the rubber that marks it, but you'll often also find like a bit of brown residue from the tapes running over for so long, so just cleaning that up really. And then I'm also going to do the, I forget the name of it, the capstan and the head as well. Okay, now all that's done, we're going to go and speed calibrate it. Okay, so here we are set up upstairs. I've got a frequency tape. It does a variety of different frequencies, and basically the way it works is as long as your frequency on here is the same as the one playing, then your speed is then correct. If your frequency is too high, you're playing too fast. If it's too low, you're playing too slow, and you adjust it until the frequencies match. So I'll be using the first track, which is a 3000 Hertz. So I've got my frequency tape in here. This jack is going straight into the computer. I've got my batteries connected here, and the important thing to do is when you're doing this test, make sure you've got fresh batteries in as well, because again, if you've got weak batteries, your tape cassette player will be running slow. So if I hit play now, and also you've got to make sure your volume is fully up. So you can see right now we're running at 3200 Hertz, so it's running fast. But we know that this tape cassette player needs to play on both sides. So if I press play and then change the direction, what are we getting? So 3200 on the other side as well. So what we need to do right now is slow it down. So I'll be opening this up. And I'm not sure which way this turns. It's a 50-50 and I usually get it wrong. So I'll turn it anti-clockwise and see if that slows it down. So just a small amount. So let's try that and see if there's any difference. So 3100, so I need to do a bit more. Yeah, 3020, I mean we are super close. I can try just doing a fraction of a turn, but it might go too far, but I will try. Play. So yeah, bang on 3000, just fluctuating either side. And if this was like quite a wide frequency range as well, that would show like a lot of kind of wow and flutter, but actually that's pretty strong in the middle. So again, I'll just try it, make sure the other side is playing it around the same speed. And again, nicely 3000. So we know that this is at the correct speed now with the new belt with strong batteries. So the next thing to do is we'll go down, we'll just give the outside a light clean, maybe see if we can get rid of a couple of these scratches. Then we'll put in the speakers and fingers crossed we've managed to get everything working. So for this bit, I just want to see if I can get rid of some of those surface scratches, and it's because of the design, it's curved, so whenever you sat it down, it's actually resting on this section here. So this is a clear plastic cleaner slash polish. Let's just see how that's going. Is there any difference? I don't know. We'll try again. I think we'll stop there. Alright, that's everything put back together, and we're at about 3.5 hours at this point. I spent a little bit of extra time working on the fit and finish before filming this part. So let's give this Aiwa HS-P202 a test run and see how it performs after all that work. The battery pack is already attached, so let's pop a cassette in. It's quite a tight finish on all of this, so you have to really make sure your cassette is in properly. Look how close it is all the way around. And the two problems, if you remember, was the volume, and the main one being that it was very intermittent on the headphone jack. It either wasn't coming out at all, or when it was coming out of the left or right. So let's see if we manage to fix both of those. So for me, the volume's working absolutely fine now. More than the volume I would expect. But the main problem was the jack, and I'd spoken about how sometimes you might be inclined to potentially just work on it from the outside, but we realised when we went inside that the jack basically came off, and I think that's probably because it's been getting knocked on the outside. This is, really protrudes, and had basically caused it to come loose from the circuit board, so it was probably just resting on a couple of pads at best. So now what we can see is, if I turn this back on, absolutely nothing wrong with the jack at all now, and on top of that it's coming out of both speakers no problem. So that's all working now, which is great. So both of those are fixed. Let's have a look at some of the other features. So we've got our direction button. So if we flick this, you see it changes, moves to the other side. One thing I've noticed on here, and I think it's possibly to do with the clearances, is if we go the other way, it kind of stops, then you have to hit play, rather than carrying on. When it goes the other way, it just does it automatically. I think that's just going to be how it is with this. It's not a big drama, is it? You've got your fast forward and your rewind, so I'm going to fast forward now just to get off that Doctor Who track. There we go, so there's another track. So we've moved over, and again we've also got the direction to go around on each side. Over here, the DSL, I did look it up. I think it was something like Dolby sound loudness. It's their thing of saying, well, we've got better high and low frequencies. Really, I think it's just the equivalent of it being a bass booster. So if we play, and then, to be honest, I can hardly hear, if anything, any difference at all. On a really bassy song, yeah, it just makes it slightly bassier, but I'm not really hearing much from that. We've got the Dolby noise reduction, so off at the minute. I mean, there's a change, but not really much for it to cut out on here either. So it's really hard to kind of show. So there we have it. I'll call it a fully restored Aiwa HS-P202. I thought it was actually a really nice device, slim, metal body, good amount of features, nice from an Aiwa, and that's ready to send back to Adam to enjoy many more years of cassette powered music. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel for more retro content, but in the meantime you should definitely check out this video up here, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. And until the next one, all the best, take care and see ya.